Welcome to On the Prowl, Florida Panthers at the Break, episode 24. I'm your host, Bill. Today, we're going to go ahead and take a look at where the Florida Panthers stand at the Four Nations break. Now, what we're going to go over today, let's take a look at the itinerary. We're going to talk about the Four Nations Faceoff, best game this season, standings and stats, and trade rumors. So let's dive right into that. Now, for those of you who are new to Florida Panthers Den, I also wanted to take this time to thank all of you because we've just hit 1,500 subscribers, and that is tremendous. And I want to thank all of you for subscribing to this channel and for getting what I consider some outstanding content on your Florida Panthers, your 2024 Stanley Cup champions, and hopefully maybe this season as well too. So, but I'm going to post a link up there, which is a welcome video that I have done specially for the channel, so you guys can take a look at that. But again, I want to thank everybody. So we've had a lot of subscribers join recently, and I want to thank you guys for that very much. And thank you so much for all your great comments here. Okay, the Four Nations Faceoff is coming up this week. As you know, the Panthers officially started their break on Saturday after their game against Ottawa. Now, right here, and I did find this, and this was something that I was looking for, was the schedule for the Four Nations Faceoff. You can see the first game is Canada versus Sweden on Wednesday, February 12th, and that's at 8 o'clock on TNT. On Thursday, February 13th, the United States against Finland, which is on 8 o'clock on ESPN, and that's a must-watch for me, that's for sure. And then on Saturday, February 15th, it's Finland versus Sweden. And then on Saturday, February 15th, it's United States versus Canada. The Finland-Sweden game is on at 1 o'clock on ABC. The United States-Canada game is on at 8 o'clock on ABC. Okay. And then we have Canada versus Finland on Monday, February 17th. That's at TD Garden in Boston. And on Monday, February 17th at 8 o'clock on TNT, it's Sweden versus the United States. And then the championship game will be on Thursday, February 20th at 8 o'clock on ESPN. So definitely you want to tune into this. You're going to see some great hockey here. I know people are saying they're going to kind of lay back a little bit like an all-star game. I don't think they are. From what I've heard from many of the Panthers, they're going to go at it. And Alexander Barkov stated, he doesn't expect Matthew Tkachuk to gently hit him into the boards. So there's going to be some good games. There's going to be some hard hitting. Just want to see everybody play well, have a great tournament here, and no injuries for anybody. So that's where things are. And again, this is a schedule that will be played for the Four Nations Faceoff. So, and again, that's coming up this week starting on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. And again, the games will be on TNT, ESPN, and ABC. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to what I'm going to say is the best game this season. I know I had called it at the time the most complete game of the season, but I'm also going to say the best game this season so far. I didn't get these words out there. The Panthers beat the Ottawa Senators 5-1, and the score was not indicative of the game. What I will tell you is this: Ottawa jumped out to a 1-0 lead, courtesy of Brady Tkachuk. And then after that, it was lights out. The Panthers just absolutely, totally dominated this game against them. Matthew Tkachuk is just like a house of fire. He scored the tying goal. He assisted on another goal. Alexander Barkov did Alexander Barkov type of things. And Sergei Bobrovsky was in playoff form, making just some incredible saves. And I'm going to drop a card so you guys can take a look at the highlights for this game. And I would highly recommend, if you didn't watch the game or you haven't seen the highlights, please watch them because they are absolutely fantastic. Again, there'll be a card up there for you guys to watch this. You need to see that. It was just a fantastic game. It shows some of the saves that Bob has made during the game, just some incredible plays, just how they just absolutely, the Panthers suffocated the Ottawa Senators. There's no other word for it. They just absolutely, totally, had very few opportunities in the offensive zone after the Panthers tied it up and went ahead. And you can take a look by the shots in the game here. Okay, Panthers had 48 shots on goal, and I think somebody had said, and I think I don't know if it was Randy or Goldie or Jobo said, I think their total chances were like 75 to 80 somewhere on there, as far as shots were concerned, which was absolutely insanity here. And high number of hits during this game. The Panthers were 1 for 5 on the power play. Ottawa was 1 for 3. That's how they scored their only goal from Brady Tkachuk. And if it wasn't for Linus Ullmark, that would have been a 10-1 game. Linus Ullmark played very well for the Panthers, even though it was a 5-1 game. And, of course, one of those goals was an empty net goal. But all in all, again, if you haven't had a chance to, please watch the highlights from that game. It was absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough things about it. And what a great way to go into the break. Coming in and just absolutely – now, Ottawa has really bolstered their lineup. With getting Linus Ullmark, they really needed a great goaltender. They got that with Linus Ullmark. He has really kind of sparked the Senators, and they are playing so much better than they have in recent memory, and they're currently fighting for a wild card spot. And we'll take a look at standings coming up here in a minute. But just all in all, just an incredible game. And now we're going to go ahead and dive into the standings right here. Now, you can take a look here and see at the break, the Panthers have 71 points. They are 3 points ahead of Toronto with 68. Behind Toronto are the Bolts there with 64 points. Ottawa's with 62. Detroit is in the mix with 61. And then the bottom three are Boston, Montreal, and Buffalo there, rounding things out there. But in the Atlantic Conference, they are just the Panthers are just you can't really ask for more than how they are playing right now. And there have been so many naysayers out there going either out to Twitter or mostly in the comments that you'll see on a lot of the Facebook groups. The naysayers out there, they're not playing as well as they did last year. They're not scoring like they did last year. Bobrovsky's not playing as well as last year. But statistics-wise, it tells a completely different story. And I agree. And one of the things that I think Paul has really preached so well is remember that the regular season is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And it prepares you for that sprint, which is the Stanley Cup playoffs. And they're starting to get into playoff form right now. And we're going to talk a little bit more on that coming up right here. But and we're going to see this playoff chances. This is from moneypuck.com. Playoff chances as of Sunday. And you take a look right here and with these numbers, and they're very high for the Panthers. 99.3, they'll be in the playoffs, obviously, here. But then it breaks it down further in making the second round and making the third round and making the finals, okay? And believe it or not, who they have, the Panthers have the highest percentage chance of making the finals of these teams right here. And the other team is an old foe, the Vegas Golden Knights. They are playing very well this year. So we could have a repeat of the 2023 finals. The Oilers are still in the mix right here, looking at them, but Money Puck has them at a 6.9% chance of making the finals. Also, it has an 11% chance of the Winnipeg Jets making the finals, 9.8% chance for the Dallas Stars, 6.9% for the Capitals, and then a 10% chance for the Carolina Hurricanes. And to be honest with you, I think the two teams I think the Panthers need to be very wary of and be prepared for in the playoffs are the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals have had a great resurgence this season. And, of course, it's been bolstered. They've been receiving a bulk share of NHL attention because of Ovi and his chase with the scoring record with Wayne Gretzky. But all in all, they are playing very well. They have retooled. They have got things down pat. They have a great goaltender right now. We saw in the latest game against the Capitals that the Panthers played. The Panthers played well and got to win them 4-3, but then the Capitals got 2 empty net goals right there. But they played them very well, and I thought they played them very well, especially that last period. They just couldn't overcome that deficit and get the game tied. But I think in a series, I think they would prevail against the Capitals. I think they would wear them down, especially if they play like they did against Ottawa. The Panthers can beat any team in the NHL right now. They were just absolutely suffocating them. Their forecheck was relentless. Their pressure on opposing net was just spot on. You couldn't have asked for better right there. And again, the other one in the East, I think, to watch out for is Carolina. Although they've had some goaltender problems, we've played them very well this season. I would really think Panthers would do very well in a matchup with Carolina. So those are the ones that I see kind of in terms of playoff possibilities. And again, Tampa would probably be in the mix as far as that's concerned, and Toronto as well too. But I would see them probably vying for the Eastern Conference Final, probably either again against Carolina or probably against Washington. That's kind of where I see things up. And again, too, one of the things about the regular season, and I know Paul has said this before, you want to put yourself in a good position. In other words, you don't want to have go lights out and play like in the playoffs, because you'll burn yourself out before that. But you want to play well enough to put yourself in a good position in the standings so you can have some home ice advantage. And I think that's what Paul is referring to here. So, yeah, these playoff chances, this is a good thing to bookmark and to take a look at and revisit this. And I'm sure we'll be revisiting this the latter parts of February, March, and April, right before we get to the playoffs. There have been a lot of trade rumors going around. And what I wanted to do first was Alex Baumgartner, who we've had on the channel before, had a fantastic podcast with him. He posted here, and this is from Puckpedia, where the Florida Panthers are cap wise, and you can see right here projected cap space, current cap space, deadline cap space, LTIR, long-term injured reserve pool, projected cap hit, where they're at. Okay, and you can see they're right on the bubble here. So getting into some of these rumors here, because there's been a lot floating around, and there's been a couple of names really bounced like crazy, and one of them is Noah Dobson from the New York Islanders. And NHL Network has here, there are reports saying the New York Islanders are shopping defenseman Noah Dobson and have offered Brock Nelson an extension. Okay, well, that's completely separate about that. And that's exactly what the Panthers need. They need that right-handed defenseman here. But one of my things on this is, okay, as I said, and my good friend Kirby, who does the Cats and Rats podcast, Dobson name out there again, S. Jones and C. Murphy too, right-handed defenseman. These are names to shape Florida Panthers blue line into the next win window, especially Dobson, if going for the home run swing, time to hunt. And my response to that was lots of names going around, but I'm afraid of what other teams may want in return. And one of the names that has been bantered about in terms of being traded is, Sam Bennett. And it's pluses and minuses here again with that. Sam Bennett provides some of the best grit on the team, if you will. He's been scoring a little bit better as of lately, but you're always going to get the hard check from him. You're always going to get that grit from him. He won't back down from a fight. He will come to the defense of his teammates, bar none. He is absolutely fantastic to have on the ice. But again, is this something, look how we got Matthew Tkachuk. We traded, an incredible Panther at the time. And there were shockwaves when Bill Zito did that. But look how it's panned out. Look how Matthew Tkachuk is. And we're going to talk about Matthew Tkachuk here coming up before we close things out. But like I said, high risk, high reward. And the high risk is, if they're asking for somebody like a Sam Bennett, and you also have to realize too, Sam Bennett is going to be a free agent after this season and is going to be, command a good price on the open market. Now, I know we talked a little bit about earlier in an earlier podcast about the cap space being raised for the NHL, which it has. And that's fantastic. It's great. Absolutely love that. But, what kind of a price is Sam Bennett going to command? And, because, we saw a great Panther go last year, Brandon Montour, and he got stupid money from the Kraken. And I mean, just absolutely stupid money. And good for him. He got a good payday. And it may be the same thing with Sam Bennett here. And, when you lose somebody to free agency, you don't get compensated. But if you make a trade like this, you can get somebody like a Noah Dobson, who's young, who has a right-handed defenseman, and he seems like a perfect fit for the Panthers as well too. Now, there's one other name that's been going on out there, and there are rumblings that Detroit is not happy with Vladimir Tarasenko's performance, which makes sense. So Tarasenko could be traded before the trade deadline. It's obviously this deal hasn't been working well for both sides. And let's take a look at another post here from the Grindline podcast on 32 Thoughts. It says Tarasenko is the odd fit. He has a no trade clause, but as the team has improved, he still hasn't fit. Says Florida could use him, and Tarasenko would probably love to go back. Something is going on, and it's a harder fit than expected. Trade could be likely. That's a win-win right here. Now, one of the persons commented on this was saying cap space. Detroit would retain salary in this instance. So cap space wouldn't be that much of an issue with getting Tarasenko back. And I think that was one of the ones. I think if Bill Zito could have had him back, he would have had him back. And, hindsight's always 20/20. But Tarasenko is a perfect fit for the Panthers. He would come back in and contribute immediately. We all know how much he contributed last year to in the playoffs and in the finals. He was invaluable to the Panthers. He could be another spark plug to push us over the top. And I think if Bill Zito's, does his homework well, I think we can get him for a next to nothing kind of a price. Probably maybe a couple of draft picks, and we might be able to get him and have Detroit retain his salary, which would be a huge win. So stay tuned for that. I mean, the trade deadline is March the 7th. It's coming. It's faster than you think. And of course, nothing's going to go on, for those that are in the tournament. However, outside the tournament, I'm not sure and of course, Bill Zito is assistant general manager for Team USA. So he's got a lot on his plate right now. I don't know if they're going to be doing a lot right now regarding trades or not. That's to be seen. And I don't know, maybe it was in the rules that were set up regarding the Four Nations tournament that no trades were going to happen during this time. I don't know that for a fact. So we'll see on all that. After that final tournament game, I think it's what, February 17th or so. I'm not sure. We just talked about the schedule back there. But after the tournament winner, I think it's open game from then until the trade deadline in March 7th. And I think Bill Zito is going to be very busy. And personally, what I think is going to happen, this is what I think is going to happen. This is just me. And I'm just going out there on a limb and don't rake me over the coals for this one. But I think we're going to we're going to get Tarasenko back. I think we're going to get him for a couple of draft picks, and Detroit's going to retain some salary, which will be fantastic. And I do think we're going to get Dobson, but I think the price is going to be high. I think it's going to be Bennett, and I think it's going to be a good fit for the Panthers, okay? And remember, too, A.J. Greer has that same kind of grit as Bennett does. And I think we really wouldn't miss a whole lot right there. Scoring-wise, Bennett has not been there this season like we've seen him in previous seasons. I don't know why. His grit has still been there. Lately he's been hitting the score sheet, which is well. So, but this is just my 2 cents worth on everything as far as trades are concerned. I think we'll see activity after the Four Nations is done. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up. And some final thoughts here. Florida Panthers at the break, and this was a good post by Matthias here. Top 5 in the NHL. They're first in the Atlantic, as we saw. They're second in the Eastern Conference right now behind the Capitals, and they lead the league in shorthanded goals. Good hockey team. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I put this together here because this post, and this was from the game-winning goal with 11.8 seconds left against the St. Louis Blues, which was being credited to Matthew Tkachuk. And to think there were people a few weeks ago asking what was wrong with Tkachuk. He's just getting warmed up. Wait till the playoffs hit. And I think that is so very appropriate right now. He's just starting to get warmed up. He's just starting, to make that push right now. And it's good to see that. And I think it's good to see that from the Panthers as well, too. You're starting to see pieces and parts of this push to the playoffs fitting in with the Panthers in the way they're playing lately. Okay, they played a very tight game against St. Louis, and then they played a lights out game against Ottawa to go into the break. So that's where things stand for right now. It's lots of positive news. We're looking forward to the Four Nations tournament coming up, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season. Remember, one of the games when we come back it's against the Edmonton Oilers, and it's down at Sunrise. So that's going to be an incredible game. And I think the Panthers have a decent schedule coming up too. Remember, they're done with their West Coast road trips, which I think is fantastic. A lot of other teams, they still have West Coast road trips out in the East, which is, it's tiring and it wears on you. But the Panthers don't have that. So I think the Panthers are in good shape. Okay, everyone. Want to wish everybody a great rest of your week. And remember, it's always a great day for Florida Panthers hockey. Time to hunt.